So this is kind of awkward. Earlier this year, at the end of July, the McNeese-Dixon was released. A titanium frame lock, American made, contour titanium handle scales, and I said I will not be participating because I don't like the shape of the deployment hole. So today we are going to talk about the knife that I refused to buy until I could no longer stand it. Let's go ahead and get into the McNeese-Dixon. Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, smash that like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And in my hands today, I've got a certified banger. And a great big shout out and a thank you, to all of you who told me that I needed to pick up a McNeese-Dixon. Because listen, as little as I like having to eat crow, sometimes it is on the menu, and sometimes we just kind of have to take the advice of others and check out something that they tell us is cool. It doesn't always work out, but in this case, it did, because on the table today is the McNeese-Dixon. And it's not just any McNeese-Dixon. No, it's the Halloween Special Edition. Look at that sticker, by the way. And the award for the greatest sticker of 2025 goes to McNeese. That is really freaking cool. I love that. I don't know what I'm going to put this on. I'll figure it out. The running joke in my house is that I have a sticker addiction, and sometimes those stickers come with free knives. Let me know if that's something that happens in your house. Yeah, the McNeese-Dixon was released at the end of July 2025, and it was released to a lot of popularity, and these stayed sold out for a while, and now the inventory is caught up and they're available. You could go out there and buy one of these knives if you would like. I'll leave some links in the description down below in case you want to click on one of those. It will, of course, support the channel, but that is entirely up to you. This has been one of those knives that has been very hard to keep out of my pocket ever since it came in, and we're going to talk about why. First and foremost, what is it? How much does it cost? This is definitely a full-size knife, coming in about 8.3 inches overall with a 3 3/4 inch stone-washed, hollow ground, Magna Cut blade. The handle scales are titanium, and it features T8 hardware all the way around. Not a terrible amount of hardware, which is a nice thing. We've got, pivot screw. We've got a couple body screws. It is an open back design with some internal milling, which is a good thing, especially considering that this knife is so big, because it's if it didn't have any internalized milling, it would be really, really heavy, but it does. Now, we have a 3D milled titanium pocket clip, and of course, it is a frame lock. The frame lock on this guy is going to be locking out about, I would say that's about 35%. How's the quality of life? It's good. Super solid lockup. Plenty of access here on that lock bar, and it is very smooth on the action. We've got one deployment option. It's the deployment hole. I'm going to come clean. The reason why I did not immediately bite on this knife was that I didn't like the aesthetics of this deployment hole. I can't look at this and not see an Egyptian eye. I can't. It's impossible. For some reason, I still see it every time I look at it. I would have much rather have seen a deployment fuller or a hole fuller combo. I think that would have been really cool. But everything else about this knife has really gotten me in line with enjoying it and carrying it and really appreciating the craftsmanship that's gone into it. The action on here is superb, and it is a contoured handle scale setup. See that? See that? Contoured titanium handle scales are not something that we see too frequently in American-made knives that cost under $800. There's a lot of slab style handle scales out there, so when we get contoured handle scale milling, I really, really like it. Now, on the Dixon is big. That's why they have the running joke of Big Dixon energy, and I'm not the biggest fan of that slogan. I just think, it gets to be a bit much. But the quality of the machining on this knife is absolutely undeniable. For example, on the hollow grind, look at that hollow grind. You can see the artifact milling there, and some blade makers don't like that. They say that it's not a sign of good craftsmanship. I love it. I love seeing the milling lines on the primary bevels of knives, and this one looks absolutely fantastic. They have a stonewash finish on here, which is kind of a semi-polish that I think looks really, really good. Now, that stonewash finish is something that's highly important because recently there's been a bit of a kerfuffle in the community about McNeese MagnaCut rusting when you look at it sideways. And that absolutely should not be the case with a steel like MagnaCut, because MagnaCut is supposedly exceedingly corrosion resistant. I have a ton of knives in MagnaCut and I've never had any rust issues, but there's been a lot of reports of McNeese MagnaCut having some rust issues. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that that is because of the bead blasted finish that ends up on a lot of McNeese knives. Now, bead blasting will make a knife more susceptible to corrosion, and stonewash actually has the opposite effect. So don't be shocked or surprised if you see a lot more McNeese knives with this semi-polished stonewash finish, and it's ultimately a good thing. It helps with the action. The action is incredible. It helps with making sure that the steel doesn't rust too fast. You can really take advantage of the fact that MagnaCut is a super stainless steel. I'm a huge fan of this hollow grind, and I'm going to tell you why. This is not a small knife. It's got a decently thick blade stock, but with this hollow grind, it gets super slicey behind the edge. It passes through materials way easier than it should. It kind of has that feel of a competition chopper, but it's not a chopper. Like, this is what I would consider to be a Bowie style blade, or at the very least a super long clip point. It does look good. Sans the deployment hole, which I just can't get out of my noggin. I think that it looks fantastic. And we haven't even gotten to the star of the show, which is this spider webbed milling. Now, if you're looking to buy one of these with this specific milling pattern, the hard part is that this was a limited release on McNeese website. So this was a Halloween edition. Will they have this same one next year? Maybe. I don't know. But the McNeese Dixon does have a lot of different milling patterns available. They've got a radial milling. They've got no milling. They have the plain, which is just basically those little tiny milling lines on there. As it stands, I don't know if they'll ever come out with this again. The collector in me says, please just, let this be a limited run, because I would love to have that as a super limited knife. One of the disappointments that I have is that they didn't continue the spider web milling on both sides, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why. If you look at the other Dixons out there, like the frag pattern, they continue the milling on both sides. But on this one, they only have it on the show side. It's fine. You're not really getting to see that clip side much anyways, which brings me to my next point, which is this is not an ambidextrous knife. Lock bar is set up for right-hand users, and the pocket clip is not reversible to the other side. Another thing that I'm not a biggest fan of is the skinny nature of this pocket clip. A lot of people say that the pocket clip is uncomfortable. I don't really get that. The pocket clip does disappear in the hand, so I don't have any comfort issues at all. It feels fine. But aesthetically speaking, I think that it would have been better had they made this a wider clip. It kind of reminds me of a skinny tie on a fat guy, and aesthetically speaking, I'm not a huge fan of that. But when it comes to pocket clips, at the very least, it needs to function well, and it needs to not get in the way of the ergos. And in this case, it does both. It's got a decent amount of retention, but it's not terribly stiff. It is a 3D milled titanium clip. I'm here for it. I just wish that it was a little bit wider. It would kind of fit the aesthetic a little bit better, in my opinion, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's just some notes on aesthetic design. That being said, this knife feels great in the hand. It does a really good job of passing through materials. The action makes it extremely addictive to deploy, and you can feel good knowing that this is 100% made in the USA. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to talk about something that bothers me with USA made knives. We see so many small batch makers that do slab style handle scales, like very, very simple designs that are easily duplicated overseas, easily counterfeited overseas, and they still want $800, $900, $1,000. If you're going to do that, give us some more complicated milling, give us some more creativity, give us contoured 3D milled titanium handle scales. This being a $650 knife, and I think you can get them for like $625, because if McNeese can do this for $625, $650 with milling, with contoured tie scales, with a hollow ground, and keep it all American made, there is no excuse why those other companies also don't. It is a futile argument because something is always worth what the people are willing to pay. But I would like to see other American companies start doing what Jonathan McNeese has done with the Dixon and with his Mac 2 series, and start outsourcing some of that work to help bring down the pricing. Bring down the pricing. Let's get American-made folders into more hands. The more we can do that, the better off the knife community will be, and we can continue to thrive as a country that is known for some of the best knife makers in the world. Because without those customers, those companies will die. I can feel really good about purchasing this knife because I know that my money went to an American company and they're going to pay their American employees, and those employees are going to go out into their community and buy things like gas at their gas station and groceries at their grocery stores, and I can feel good about that. It also helps that the knife is really well made. It helps remind us why American manufacturing is still king. Now, if you agreed with my rant and you haven't done so yet, please feel free to subscribe. If you disagree, there's a button for you too. And of course, if you just want to watch some more awesome knife and EDC content, feel free to click on one of the videos that pops up next.